hello, and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and I want to welcome you to today's show. You know, I just love learning about people who have been successful incorporating principles shared by my mentors. Today I'm going to relate to you a story of a poor farmer in the Philippines who, without knowing about my mentors, but incorporated their teachings to become a millionaire. I've said many times on many episodes that you may not believe in the law of attraction. You may not think that it works. You may think that it's poppycock. You may think that, this just can't possibly be, but you're still using it daily. I mean, for many years, I had no clue about law of attraction, didn't believe in it. I had a book on self-hypnosis once and read a little bit about it, but I never studied the book and incorporated that type of information or that type of practice in my life. I mean, I would, pray and, ask for things, but after learning and studying and writing my book, Christianity, the Law of Attraction, and you know, um, many other blog posts and that kind of thing, and studying the different masters, I realized that we have more power than we think we do. I like bringing you information that you can incorporate in your life easily and effortlessly, and just a little bit at a time, even if it's 30 seconds a day. But looking at and thinking about what you desire and what you want in your life, and then changing the way you think in order to bring it into the physical. So, for those of you who are new, welcome. Um, Hit the thumbs up button, leave a good review, subscribe, hit the bell, do the things that you do when you like an episode such as mine. If you're new, I am an author, a speaker, and a seminar leader, and on this show, I talk about how to expand your world of thought, exploring the world of positive thinking, Bible-based law of attraction, and consciousness from many points of view. I intend to share with you information that will enlighten and empower you in your life. I am definitely here to encourage you to think of the positive and show you that miracles can happen, because I truly believe you have been given the power of the word and thought to create the life that you desire. So I'm going to take the main part of this episode from chapter 9 in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And chapter 9 title is Persistence. And he says the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. Now faith is another chapter further earlier. I think it's chapter 3. But this is considered, persistence is considered to be the 8th step toward riches. Now, we know that if you do not continue to work on something that you want, I think of it when I'm working in my garden, and my garden would not be successful. And by no means is my garden magnificent and, give me all the yields I can possibly give. But I do things like this fall. I cleaned out the tomato plants and in some of my pots. I've added some fertilizer and other things for my plants that are growing through the winter. I have consistently gone out and harvested and replanted and did the things that I feel that I want to do in order to harvest collards and kale and Swiss chard and carrots and radishes and what else did I have? Cucumbers and parsley and just celery and all kinds of things. But it took persistence for me to make that happen. It takes persistence for me to keep doing these episodes and talking to you on a regular basis. I don't say weekly. I don't say, that it's every week, because I do skip a week every so often. But it's persistence in that on a regular basis, I'm coming to talk to you. And hopefully in those coming to talk to you on this regular basis, you learned quite a bit and you can incorporate these things in your life in order to make a change in your life and you become successful at what you desire. Napoleon Hill defines persistence, or says that persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. The basis of persistence is the power of will. Willpower and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. And when you think about this, men who and women who are persistent and continue to go after what they desire, they eventually become successful. People talk about overnight success, but if you look at people who become successful, they may have had a ton of failures or setbacks in their life. They may have had a ton of failures and setbacks in their career, but they continued on because they had this desire, this overwhelming desire and faith that they could become successful. And this is where the story that I'm going to share with you today comes. I happen to, like, many of you, I look at things on YouTube and certain things catch my eye. And this particular video of the link that I will put in the description, and you can go watch it yourself. However, be prepared to watch the video if you're in English because it's subtitled. So it took a while, right? But this caught my eye as I was watching it, and further in it was like, oh my, this is exactly what it takes in order to get the law of attraction working on your side. So yeah, a poor farmer becomes a watermelon millionaire. She wound up, the story basically starts out talking about when she was being evicted from a home. And that the landlord's son would not wait 3 days for her to be able to get the money to pay him. 3 days. Now, some of you may be experiencing that. Or have experienced where somebody wouldn't wait 3 days when you knew that you would have the money to pay them. Now, a lot of times it's not about you, it's about them, and they may have had people say, I'll pay you in 3 days, 2 days, or in a week, and they never got the money. But this was a couple who had been renting this hut this small hut that could only hold 4 people for many years. But he threw her out and the family. What got me is as she told her story, she would go and travel overnight to another city to get vegetables and fruit to bring back to where she lived in order to sell it and to make money. It was a hard life, but they were working it, she and her husband. Now, her husband wasn't the visionary. She turned out to be the visionary. But they continued to work, and then they were about to be evicted, and they needed to find someplace else to live. Now, the story is about 40 minutes long, so I'm not going to tell you all the story. I want you to go watch it yourself. But here is what got me near the middle of her telling the story. And it was like flashbacks and forward and flashbacks and forward. But here's what she said before they were about to be evicted from this property. She said, and they didn't give names of them, so I'm going, and this is in the Philippines, and I have a friend that I work with, and I'm going to use her name as the female in this, and I'm going to call her Maricel. Maricel said, "One day I will buy this land." I said, "Lord, please stop people from treating me poorly. Help me survive and thrive so I can buy this land." Now here's the piece. Now that got me because she was saying a prayer and she was asking for what she wanted. She wasn't asking about take care of us, not being thrown out for this land or help me find something else. She says, one day I will buy this land. That was the desire. She put it out there. I will one day buy this land. Then she asked, Infinite Intelligence, stop people from treating me poorly. Help me survive and thrive so I can buy this land. And here's the other piece. So this is her affirmation. This is what she asked for. But here's the next thing she did. I sat under the jackfruit tree beside the water pump. I sat there for a long while. I will continue to plant watermelons indefinitely by this land. Now, why was that so important to me? It's the fact that she actually went into a meditative state. She sat there and pondered what she wanted. And I could feel that this woman actually visualized owning this land and having this and building her home. She sat there for a while. So during this time, though, she wasn't a farmer. She was buying fruits, as I said. Well, while she was doing this, she noticed, that that people were growing. And so she wound up hooking up with some farmers, and they taught her how to grow watermelons. And she began growing watermelons during this time frame. She knew she was going to be able to harvest some watermelons, make some money. I will continue to plant watermelons indefinitely by this land. She goes on to say, so we left when we were thrown out. We found another place to rent. The landlady of our previous place asked us why we left. So this was the actual owner of the place, this little hut that could only, sleep four people, right? Very small. She asked them why they left. And the landlady said, you should return there. All right. So they were finding another place to live, but she told them, you should return there. So Marisol said, I'll take care and I will discuss it with my husband. All right. So Marisol said she'd discuss it with her husband. So her husband said, then let's go back. Let's just endure the anger of the landlady's son. Okay. So they went back. 2 years later, now, like I've told you before, it takes time for things, the dominoes to fall, for you to be able to realize your dream. Some things happen as soon as a day, a few minutes. Some things happen in a week, a month, 6 months. In her instance, it was 2 years. 2 years later, her landlady needed help to buy medicine and asked her if she had any money that she could loan her. So by this time, the landlady has seen that Marisol is selling her wares. She's rented some land and she's growing her watermelons. So she offered the landlady a sum so large, the landlady felt she would not be able to pay it back. Yes, Marisol was a saver and a planner. In the meantime, Marisol and her husband had 7 kids. 7 kids. And during this time, she had to send one child to a brother, another to her parents, another child to. She had farmed out all but 2 of her children to different members of the family that could help take care of them. She was still in this small hut. And she said, I kept saying, Lord, why do you keep giving me babies? But it was okay. So, as I said, she offered an amount of money to the landlady, who said, I'll never be able to pay that back to you. That's not as much. And Marisol, no, you need it. And I'm going to put words in her mouth. She got her back in that hut and that land and whatever. The landlady then said, you can start buying this land from me little by little. And if you want, you can even start building a house there. And she did start building a house. And she started building the house over the hut. In the video, it shows where she said this is where the hut was, and they built the house around the hut till they got it to the point they tore the hut down. The jack tree eventually got cut down. The water pump was put in another place, and this is in the Philippines, so it's not like building a house here in the United States, and they're in a rural area, and they have their own customs and the way they build their homes because they're in the tropics. But she did. She said, these were her words, and that's why the next words I'm about to tell you, and it's why I chose chapter 9 of Think and Grow Rich, Perseverance. She said, you have to persevere. You can't just plant it and then leave it behind. You have to pour time into it. You have to give it time and intention until the harvest. Hard work and perseverance are necessities. Put effort into it and keep going. Her children are grown. 5 of the 7 have gone to college. Some are in the city. Some are doing other things. But she started out with a small plot of land. And over there, they don't talk acres, they talk hectares. So I'm going to equate it to our acres, but I think a hectare is a little larger. I think it's a little larger than our acres. Currently, she bought the land, by the way, and she currently is farming 50 acres, 8 hectares of land with watermelon. And it's a manual process, and it shows how she fertilizes and takes care of them. And I learned something about doing watermelon. I thought I planted a watermelon plant this year, but what I learned from her is that whatever fruit is closest to the plant, in other words, that first fruit closest to where the plant is planted, you want to get rid of it because it takes away nutrients and it will never grow to the appropriate size. So I said, I will remember that this summer. So you learned a little bit about her farming techniques, but she went from almost being evicted from land to owning that land, to owning and also leasing up to 50 hectares of land and selling watermelons. And she is a millionaire. She and her husband are millionaire. And she tells bit by bit of they needed a truck. And she asked the Lord for a truck and how she did that and how the truck showed up. It is a perfect story outside of my, reading the stories on Manifestations, True Stories about a person who persevered. Her husband agrees with what she says, and he said, as long as you are hardworking, you will be able to achieve your life goals. And Marisol continues, if you know how to work through the difficulties in life, you will succeed. And over time, she went from poverty to becoming a millionaire, growing and selling watermelons. So are you willing to be persistent in your dream? Are you willing to do the things, those inspired actions that come to you to make your dream come true? Are you tenacious enough to go after what you truly desire? I hope you are. And remember, you have to create that desire. Know what that desire is. Know what you want. Absolutely. Decide what that is and write it out. Because knowing what you desire, clarifying it, clarifying exactly what you desire is important. Now, she didn't ask for $1 million, right? She asked for people to stop treating her poorly, right? People don't treat her poorly anymore, right? And then how are you going to do it? And she said, help me buy this land. And then she learned how to grow watermelons. And she just went from there to the next step to the next step as each one of those steps came to her. And I feel fairly certain that she kept her eye on the prize of knowing and wanting to buy this land and be successful and to have people stop treating her poorly. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell. Share this out to someone you know who can help you, or you can help, that you think this would be something that would help them in their moving forward in their life. This is Beverly Falls Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.